Hey, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in.
Bright suns.
Apologize, my voice is a little bit off today. A little bit of drainage into my throat, so my voice sounds funny. I'm doing the best I can to hang in there.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, hon. Space Mountain Dave, welcome in. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dave.
Okay, we're gonna kind of get moving. We've got lots of things to do. It's a little busier during the week at lunchtime, so William is busy and we've got things going on. So we'll jump right into this. Chapter 5. I know that most of you are, may have gone past. Chapter 7 has already dropped. Life happened and we're just a little bit behind, but that's okay. We're still really enjoying this, and I love doing the notes for this. William, what did you think?
Yeah, I really did too. And we'll get into it, but pretty much the whole episode is focused on Mando.
It is.
And picking up with him after the events of season 2 of The Mandalorian. And so, helping lead us to, him getting linked up, obviously, in the next episode. Well, it mentions it in this episode as well, but him getting linked up with Boba. But
right.
Anyway, this episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, which I must say, most of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian, and up to this point, I love Boba, but up to this point, Chapter 5 which is kind of sad. Chapter 5 may be my very favorite episode.
Pam's fam
of Book of Boba Fett, and Boba's not even in it at all. You see Fennec in this episode, and that's it.
Boba is not in this episode at all. He doesn't appear. So that's interesting. Pam, good to see you. Thanks for joining, Dennis. Dennis, we appreciate all of your comments.
Thanks for being here.
Comments that you put in our comment section on the other episodes. We appreciate your input and appreciate you being here. Thanks. And Pam, always good to see you. Dave, thanks for being here. We appreciate you. This one is an interesting one. Just to recap a little bit. Chapter 4, they are getting ready for war. They know that Chapter 4 is called The Gathering Storm, and so they are preparing for war. They are at the end of Chapter 4. Fennec tells Boba Fett, if we have enough credits, I know where to get muscle. We have plenty of credits. We can find muscle if you know where to look. So, we also see that preview in Chapter 5 of Boba Fett telling the heads of the other Gotras, I will vanquish these interlopers that threaten our planet. All I ask is that you remain neutral. So he supposedly has William's gone. I'll be back here. Thanks, Dennis. He supposedly has an alliance with the heads of the other Gotras not to, throw in with the Pikes and to just let him handle it. He tells him he'll handle it, which if you think about it, that is a pretty sweet deal for them. Welcome in, Sherry. Started watching, wasn't really paying attention. That was the recap. That was the recap, Pam, when Boba Fett tells them, just don't throw in with the Pikes, and we'll take care of this threat. Hey, like I said, it's a sweet deal for them. All they have to do is sit back and let Boba take care of it, and they're back in control of the planet again. Or have expelled the Pikes, who are obviously going to take over the planet. So it's good to see you, Cherie. Everybody's saying hello in chat. So that's how this one, that's kind of where we are from the previews of Chapter 4, or the recap of Chapter 4. And Chapter 5 opens, the first scene is a meat processing plant. And it's obviously on a spaceport. Now, the first thing I want to say about this spaceport is amazing. It's very visually interesting. It's like a great big crescent in space. It's a spaceport. Do we know what the name of it is? I did not look it up, William.
I was trying to see.
It's not a planet. It looks to me, I would call it a spaceport, a space dock of some kind, but it's more than a dock. Because there's a city on it. So I'm sure that, if anybody in the chat knows the name of this, that's one thing I did not look up. I should have, but it is fascinating. It's like a crescent.
Yeah.
It's a crescent shape, and there's obviously a full-blown city on it. Visually amazing. Lots of imagination to come up with this, I'll have to say. So that's where we are. And he heads into this, you see meat hanging, literally. It's like a meat processing plant. And this is the opening scene. You see the plastic covers over this door to the freezer section where the meat is hanging, and you get the Mando music, and he makes the entrance, and it's the Mandalorian, and the crowd goes crazy. The crowd goes wild. We loved it. So there he is coming in, and he continues back to the office area where this dude is sitting.
You can tell he's looking for somebody or something.
Yes, he's on a mission as usual. And so he finds this Klatooinian who's sitting at a desk back there.
He's got the bounty tracker also.
Yeah, he's got the tracking fob, and he lays down the puck, and the hollow opens, and it's the guy sitting at the desk. It's the Klatooinian sitting at the desk, and he says, and actually the Klatooinian, well, that's not me. That doesn't even look like me. Of course, he has a few minions, standing around him, for muscle, and we get the great, Mando line. I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. And at this point, I'm going, yes, it's me.
Good callback to chapter 1 of Mando.
I was loving it.
He gives the rest of them the opportunity to walk out the door. And he's got no quarrel with them. He's here for Cabo Baez. He says they're not going anywhere. He said, you look practical. Let's discuss our options. And Mando, drops the line there and reaches for his blaster in the holster. And then they all try to jump him, and it doesn't work out very well for them.
No, it does not. It does not work out well for him at all. And Mando, we see still has the spear. He still has the Beskar spear that was actually gifted to him by Ahsoka Tano. And then he's still wielding the Dark Saber, guys. Wow. And so he dispatches this bunch quickly with the Dark Saber. However, he does injure himself. Okay.
So one of them bites him. Another one attacks with a meat cleaver. Mando beats him up, activates the Dark Saber, and takes out several of them. Accidentally grazes his leg.
It does, because it's heavy. It's the saber is heavy to him at this point. We find out why he's having that trouble later.
Pulls out his blaster and shoots at Mando, but hits him in the Beskar. Then welcome in, Russ. Welcome in, Adventures by D.
Thanks for being here, Russ.
And Mando stabs him, slams him on the table, and then cuts him in half. So it seems as though Cabo Baez is going in cold. Cabo
Baez is definitely going in cold, and he cuts him in half, like at the waist first, and cuts straight through the desk because he's a line on the desk at the time. But then the camera cuts outside to all these meatpacking workers who are looking at the door of the office, because they're obviously hearing all this commotion and they're going, what the heck is going on? And you hear the next slice, and then Mando comes out of the office with the Klatooinian's head in a bag. As proof of that the job is done for him.
So it's funny. One of them, after he cuts Cabo Baez in half, one of them sneaks out of the room. But Mando sums it up, says, your boss is here. I'm here to collect on his bounty. Or your boss is dead. I'm here to collect on his bounty. I have no trouble with any of you. There's a pile of New Republic credits in there that I have no right to. If you do me the honor of letting me pass, you all can help yourselves to whatever you think you deserve from your former employer. So it takes them just a split second to make their decision, but then they all start to scramble in, and Mando hobbles away. But yeah, the big space ring reminds me of Halo, the video game.
Okay.
And,
okay.
Others on the internet mentioned something called Ring World, which I guess is some sort of sci-fi thing that may have inspired.
Puts them in mind of Ring World. Well, that would be.
I don't know anything about Ring World, but I saw people say, as far as sci-fi goes, it may have been a nod to that.
Well, that could definitely be a. It'd be appropriate name for sure, because it's basically a big ring in space with, a flat side.
But yeah, it looks like there's cities built on the ring and there's ships flying around it. Mando's just hobbling through the city at night. We see what looks like a commuter rail, and a bright light shines over the top of the area of the city that Mando's in. Let's see. Mando steps in an elevator.
Fascinating.
And heads to go deliver. Heads to go and deliver the head of Kababayas to his client. Mando steps into what looks like a cantina, and the client is a blue alien sitting with others at the table, and says, "That was fast. You're a good hunter." And Mando's all business.
Yeah, it's like a club. There's music playing and people are eating and drinking, and he steps into this client's table. Client's in the middle with other people around. It's like a gathering of dinner, and she sounds like a she. She says, why do you want to do business before we have dinner? She tries to get him to join them for dinner. She's trying to be a social because she wants him to do another job. Yeah, and Mando's all business. My business is my own.
Yeah, he asked, where is the closest access shaft to the substrata? This is the reward information that he was promised.
Right. Apparently, yeah.
But he even says you can keep your reward. There's a bounty on this Klatooinian. He says, if you won't give me the information, someone else will. Yeah. And the client tells him it's down Kalzok Alley by the heat vent towers.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, you're assuming that he is looking for other Mandalorians, because we know that they generally hide in the substrata of any planet, or situation where they are, because the Mandalorians are in hiding. Yeah. And it's safe to assume that they would still be in hiding at this point. Yeah. So there's a tip off.
So, ever since the covert was split up there on Navarro. But it's kind of funny, as Mando goes to leave, he tells him, "I'd put that on ice if I were you."
Right. He drops it on the table. It's like,
Kababaya's head, super gross. Yeah. But yeah, he hobbles his way back to the elevator. You can tell he's in a lot of pain. And he grabs grabs at his leg and grunts. But then he turns on his scanner and he sees these red markings on the wall, and finally comes to one that looks like the Mandalorian mythosaur symbol.
Which is interesting. It's only visible with his scanner, the scanner that's on his helmet, which is interesting. So they are visible to Mandalorians, but not to the general public. Obviously, they don't want everybody to know where they are. So
but he steps through the door, goes down the ladder, slips a little bit.
Yeah, he's having trouble. He's got a pretty big the whole outside of his thigh, took a hit from the Dark Sabre. Yeah.
And then we get to see a character who we haven't seen in a little bit, the armorer, kind of seated, kind of meditating position.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there on her knees. And she tells the other Mandalorian to tend to him, which we learn it's the big, heavily armored Mandalorian. Paz Vizsla.
Yeah. Yeah. Emily Swallow plays the armor and was as one of my favorite characters in The Mandalorian. I really love the way she portrays that character, and she never even turns around, and she knows that it's Mando and that he's injured, and she says tend to him. Tells the only other Mandalorian in that place to tend to him, and we learned that it is Paz Vizsla. Of course, the name Vizsla is immediately recognizable. And he thanks Paz Vizsla, he thanks Paz Vizsla for helping him escape on Navarro and apologizes to him, that is what exposed the covert on Navarro, and the Empire killed most of the other Mandalorians, which was absolutely horrible. Paz Vizsla responds, "Now there are 3 of us." Very sad. It was a quick conversation, but it was very sad to me.
Yeah, tends to Mando, sprays him with the back to spray. Paz Vizsla, the person in the suit is Tate Fletcher, which is an actor, kind of former MMA guy, but actually voiced by Jon Favreau. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The armor asks,
"What weapon?" It doesn't sound like Jon Favreau. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't sound like his voice. They have something that's giving his voice a different sound to it.
Jon Favreau also voiced Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars animated series. So this is not his first time. This is not his first Mandalorian character to get the voice.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's a neat. I love these continuations, of things, these Easter eggs and things that they do. Mandalorians are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of the Star Wars world. Well, apparently, yeah. At this point, that's pretty much it.
The armor asks what weapon caused such a wound, and Mando pulls out the Dark Saber, and the armor asks Paz Vizsla to bring it to her. And she said the Empire lasted less than 30 years. Mandalorians have existed for over 10,000. And the armor ignites the Dark Saber and asks what Mando knows of this blade. He said, "I was told it was the Dark Saber." The armor asks if he understands its significance, and Mando says whoever wields it can lead all of Mandalore. And
she knows the history of the Dark Saber. She appears to me to be kind of the keeper of the flame, the historian.
The creed.
She's the keeper of the creed. She's more than just an armorer. She apparently has some significance, knows a lot about Jedi lore. She's really an interesting character. I love the way Emily Swallow portrays her.
So there's a lot of information we learn about Mandalorians, during this episode and during this sequence. The armor tells him if it's won in creed by battle, it is said one warrior will defeat 20 and the multitudes will fall before it. And she said, if, however, it is not won in combat and falls in the hands of the undeserving, it will be a curse unto the nation. Mandalore will be laid to waste and his people scattered to the 4 winds.
Well, hey, Walt. Thanks for
welcome
popping in.
Walt.
Appreciate
it. The hilt is of a Mando says the hilt is of a quality of Beskar I've never seen before, and the armorer tells him it was forged over 1,000 years ago by the Mandalore Tar Vizsla. He was both Mandalorian and Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Which is really okay. I may be beating this dead horse with you, William. I find that extremely interesting because later on, Din Djarin makes the comment that the 2 creeds, the 2 philosophies are opposites. So how was Tar Vizsla? I think this could be a whole, we need to discuss this. How was Tar Vizsla Mandalorian and Jedi? So I think that's really fascinating. We could delve more into that topic.
The armorer says you've completed your quest then. Mando says I have. She says then you may join our covert as we rebuild. All 3 of them repeat, this is the way. We get a shot of Paz Vizsla looking at the Dark Saber, and so I knew.
Oh, he knows exactly what it is.
I knew he was a Vizsla. and that he was not going to just sit idly by with the Dark Saber in plain sight.
Exactly. I did too, William. When I heard, that his name was Vizsla, I thought, oh, okay, he's gonna be eyeballing that Dark Saber, because obviously this is a great grandfather to our Vizsla, who was the Jedi / Mandalorian who created the Dark Saber. And so he's got his eyeball on that, and he asks Mando how he came. They have a conversation in just a few minutes about that.
But so I knew, I even wrote down, I was like, I'm guessing he's going to lay claim to it at some point. And sure enough, it happens in just a few minutes. Yeah.
You know it's coming. If you've seen the Clone Wars and you know that history, and I know a lot of you in the chat have watched the Clone Wars, that's coming.
Yeah.
No, that's coming. But he's going to challenge him for it. And he has every right to. Being a Vizsla, I think any Mandalorian has the right to challenge, maybe, if I understand, for the Dark Saber, but especially being a Vizsla, he would do that.
Yeah. But he asked Mando how he got the Dark Saber. He says got it from Moff Gideon, and he asked if he killed him. And Mando says no, he was sent off to the New Republic for interrogation, and he will face justice for his crimes. Which Paz Vizsla responds, death would have been justice for his atrocities. Armorer says this is true. The blood of millions of our kind is on his hands.
Yeah, they have they don't mince any words, pull any punches on their thoughts on Moff Gideon.
And Mando just responds with that he'll be executed for his crimes by the New Republic Tribunal.
Yeah, they seem a little skeptical. The Armorer and Paz seem a little skeptical about that.
And so the whole time that this conversation's happening, they're setting up the forge that we saw in the previous covert that they had. The Armorer says the song
suggests to me that they haven't been there very long, right?
Yeah.
If they haven't got the forge set up, then it suggests to me that Paz Vizsla and the Armorer have not been in this place for very long. Interesting.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like they've laid down roots.
Right. No.
The Armorer turns on the forge, says the songs of eons past foretold of the mythosaur rising up to herald a new age of Mandalore. Sadly, it only exists in legends. The Armorer opens a container with her tools and weapon, and she asks where Mando got the Beskar spear from. And he says it was a gift of the Jedi. It could block a lightsaber. I used it to defeat Moff Gideon. And the Armorer tells him it could also pierce Beskar armor, and its mere existence puts Mandalorians at risk. So therefore, they're wanting to get rid of that risk. And an interesting quote here: the Armorer says Mandalorian steel is meant for armor, not weapons. I think you're on mute.
I am. I had some background music. Or some background noise. Sorry. That's new information for me. I didn't know that. This scene is, if you listen to the Armorer drops all kinds of good information about, so I really enjoyed doing the notes on it and watching it more than once, just to try and pick up everything that she said, because she drops some good nuggets that you can miss. There's too much, with one viewing. I think it's really, really good stuff. Yeah.
Let's see here. Mando gives up willingly, makes no qualms. And she responds with the Dark Saber will be a more noble weapon for you to wield. So she, she obviously to be content with him, having it.
Approves. Well, he won it by creed. She's, I won it in battle from Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is not Mandalorian, and obviously he had nefarious purposes for it. So he wasn't a worthy wielder of the sword, obviously, and had bad purposes, was not going to use it for the good of Mandalore. So she is obviously fine with, with Din Djarin wielding the Dark Saber.
Yeah. Next, Mando asked about Bo Katan Kryze. To which the Armorer says Bo Katan is a cautionary tale. She once laid claim to rule Mandalore based purely on blood and the sword you now possess, but it was gifted to her and not won by creed, which those of us, that's the explanation for, okay, what happened here?
Right.
And it's also the
Right.
explanation for why she won't accept it from Mando, even
Yes.
though Star Wars fans who have seen the show Star Wars Rebels
Yes.
know
Yes.
that she received the Dark Saber from Sabine Wren.
Sabine Wren.
And it's interesting too because in that episode, the different tribes, I guess you'd call them, are all gathered
Are
up,
there.
and nobody makes a big deal out of Sabine giving it to Bo Katan right there in front of everybody.
Right.
I should have written down the episode number, but I didn't, so I apologize
I
for
should
that.
have too. Well, I'll put that in the description of the video for you guys. I'll definitely.
The armorer goes on, and while you're making that note, the armorer goes on to say, Bo Katan Kryze was born of a mighty house, but they lost sight of the way. Her rule ended in tragedy. They lost their way, and we lost our world. Had our sect not been cloistered on the moon of Concordia, we would not have survived the Great Purge. And we see a flashback during this to an Imperial ship bombing. Those born of Mandalore strayed from the path. Eventually, the Imperial interlopers destroyed all that we knew and loved in the night of 1,000 tears. And you see this large dome structure blown up, and it looks like an atomic bomb goes off, honestly.
Yes. Yes. Now,
And
I'll tell you
everything in flames.
That scene was really intense, and I'll say that put me in mind immediately of Terminator, where the machines have, I don't know, I'm sure everybody's seen the Terminator. It was very, very Terminator-esque, where the Terminators have destroyed everything, and the machines are walking through the devastation. That's immediately what I thought of was the Terminator.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very sad scene. Of the Night of 1,000 Tears, when the Empire, Mandalore would not bow. They would not give up. And so obviously the Empire, I thought so, Dave. So they destroyed the planet. We don't know, well, the planet is still there, obviously, but they destroyed the cities. And so we don't know at this point, really, guys. Sorry, I'm having trouble with these ears staying on. We don't know at this point, guys, what kind of shape Mandalore is in. I'm looking forward to seeing that, because obviously all roads are leading to Mandalore. You have, I'll hold that thought for a little bit later on in the discussion. But we have a lot of different. We know that Bo Katan wishes to retake the Mandalorian throne and return Mandalore to its former glory. In order to do that, she needs the Dark Saber, which Mando now wields. So all roads are leading back to Mandalore. We're going to see Mandalore at some point, which I'm really excited about. Hey, Kevin, Theme Park Adventures, welcome. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Let's see here.
Sorry, I got you off there.
Oh no. So
okay.
It's in the 4th season of Star Wars Rebels, episodes 1 and 2, I believe, where we see Sabine give Bo Katan the Dark Saber.
The Dark Saber. Okay, that was what, William? Say it again.
Season 4, episodes 1 and 2, I think.
4, F1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will put that in the description below
for anybody that just wants to skip ahead to that portion.
And just take a look at those two. The good history, great history.
Welcome in, Kevin.
So she taught, So the armor tells her, about Bo Katan. It's a cautionary tale. She laid claim to the throne of Mandalore with a dark saber, but not won by Creed. Obviously, her house, House Vizsla, says the armorer, quote, they lost their way and we lost our world. And they were only preserved, as William said, by the sect of Mandalorians who were cloistered on the moon of Concordia, where they would not have survived the Great Purge. And it's that's fascinating to me. I think we'll see more. Flashbacks to that. I think we'll get more information on that. And she also says those loyal to the way were preserved for generations until we
Yeah.
may someday return to our home world. And so, lots of, there's just so much happening in this scene in the Mandalorian covert. So much information is thrown out there, and I just love it. It's more information than we've gotten on the Mandalorians in the whole existence of Star Wars. So we're really delving into this fascinating,
at least on screen, that is. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, you had mentioned Terminators. We see the K2 droids sweeping the planet, finishing off the wounded with blaster fire. We see probe droids everywhere. Yeah, it's rough. Definitely looks like a post-apocalyptic scene. The armor asks Mando what to forge, and Mando says something for a foundling, and then he says a specific foundling, which is Grogu. The armor says he is no longer in your care. He is with his own kind now. But Mando says, I want to see him. I want to make sure he's safe. And this is where that conflict that you had mentioned earlier comes into play. The armor says in order to master the ways of the Force, Jedi must forgo all attachment, is what the armor says. And then Mando says that is the opposite of our creed. Loyalty and solidarity are the way. And let's see. We see like Beskar rings falling during the forging screen.
So no idea what she's making. No idea what she's making. Pam, you absolutely should catch up with the Clone Wars. By the way, Pam says she should keep up with catch up with the Clone Wars. Absolutely do that. It may take you a while. It's totally worth it. Good information there.
Just assuming with the rings falling, I guessed it was chainmail of some sort, based off the rings that were falling.
I thought, what in the world? I couldn't have. I don't know what it could be.
The armor ties it up in a red and white cloth, and the way it's tied up, it's kind of shaped like Grogu's head and ears, which I thought was a neat little twist. The armor, next thing we cut to is the armor is training Mando to use the Dark Saber, using her tools and hammer. Mando, swings at her, falls off the bridge, and the armor says you're fighting against the blade. And so we see, people struggling to use, people just assume, you pick up a lightsaber and you can use it. But this is not the first time, we've seen people struggle. Star Wars Rebels, we see it there. There's an episode or two of training where we see people struggling to use it.
There's more to it than just picking it up. It's almost like, with Harry Potter wands and the saber has to choose you kind of thing. It's like that you have to be in balance with the Force, in the saber in order to wield it well. Yeah. And so I would think that, however, I would think that your ability, with the Force, your ability to connect with that weapon through the Force has a bearing on how well you're able to wield a lightsaber. And obviously, Din Djarin is a Mandalorian. He's not. Yeah. He's not He's not wielding the Force. He's a Mandalorian. So having trouble with it. The armor tells
says it gets heavier with each move.
Yeah, she says because you're fighting against the blade.
You should be fighting your opponent against your opponent.
Right.
It's funny. The armorer taps him on the helmet with the hammer.
Yeah.
And grabs his mask with the tongs and goes on the offensive to make Mando fight her and not the Dark Saber.
Right.
She says you're too weak to fight it. Go ahead.
Again, she's giving us. She's telling us. I mean, she's revealing that she knows a good bit about this. Yeah. I mean, obviously, she has some good background and an understanding of lightsabers in general. So good information there too.
She said it will win if you fight against it. You cannot control it with your strength. Strength. Persistence without insight will lead to the same outcome. Your body is strong, but your mind is distracting, which is what the armorer tells Mando when he wants to keep trying. And then we see Paz Vizsla show up and suggest that it may belong to someone else in someone else's hands. He says, forged by his ancestor, founder of House Vizsla. Mando says, but it belongs to me now.
Yeah. Mando makes no, and he says, because you won it in battle. Yeah. And Mando says, yeah, that's why. And Pam, Grogu is a foundling, but he's not a Jedi yet.
He's had some level of training, but he seems to have had some sort of, he's completely detached himself from his past.
Right, in order to survive, apparently.
Yeah. And so we see some of that unearthed in Chapter 6 with flashbacks and stuff. But Paz Vizsla says, Mando agrees to the challenge, and Paz Vizsla says, and I will win it from you now. The armor makes sure it's legit. Says, do you agree to this duel, Din Djarin? And he does. The armorer steps out of the way. Both of them remove their jetpacks, and they face off on this little tiny bridge. Mando pulls out the Dark Sabre. Paz Vizsla has like an energy shield thing on his wrist and a little knife blade that's made of some
Which is really cool. The little energy shield is really cool. I've never seen that before.
They approach slowly and methodically. Mando swings from down low upwards, and Vizsla comes over the top to stab Mando in the shoulder with a knife. Both of them parry strikes and hit Beskar. Mando cuts through the knife at one point because of how Vizsla swings at it. Mando pushes Vizsla back, and his energy shield protects him. They fight in tight, and they kind of do a whole shoving and punching thing.
Right.
And then Vizsla headbutts Mando and throws him off the bridge down onto a lower area.
Okay.
It throws him against the column.
I'd like to say no, Russ. No.
That's funny.
I hope not. I hope your pork army does not materialize.
But Vizsla picks up the Dark Saber and says, Fate has brought this blade back to my clan, and now Fate will end yours. Swings the blade, and it catches on the column. The blade looks heavy, extremely heavy for Vizsla, too. Mando uses the same type of electric blade knife on Vizsla, and he wins. The armorer, he's got him in a chokehold. The armorer calls the fight. The armorer, and now we get to an interesting point. The armorer asks if Paz Vizsla has ever removed his helmet or had it removed by others.
Mando's still got him in a
never.
They're like both.
And both of them repeat, this is the way. The armorer asks the same question to Din Djarin if he's ever removed his helmet, and he's silent. And then you kind of get it's kind of the whole parent thing where you ask your kid a question, but you already know the answer to it.
Right. Right.
And we know, as the audience, we know he has.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah. And the armorer says, by creed, you must vow. And Mando releases Paz Vizsla and confesses that he has removed his helmet. The armorer tells him, then you are a Mandalorian no more.
Pause for effect.
Yeah, Mando begs for forgiveness and how to atone.
Dramatic music.
Yeah, Vizsla tells him, leave apostate. The armorer says, according to creed, one may only be redeemed by in the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. And Mando says the mines have all been destroyed, but the armorer just responds with, this is the way.
Right.
So Mando picks up the Dark Saber in his jetpack and leaves wordlessly, just walking past the armorer.
He does. He just walks.
He leaves the covert, walks into the city, goes to board a Starliner. So interesting. So up to this point, it seems like most of the vessels that we've seen in Star Wars have been like for combat. But this is just a passenger Starliner.
It is. Is this the first time we've seen like a United airplane? Just a transport, a public transport.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like getting on a Southwest flight.
Yeah. So he walks up and he's got all this. He's got the Dark Saber. He's just loaded with weapons.
Welcome in, Daryl.
Welcome in, Daryl. And a droid that looks similar to DJ Rex from Star Tours, or Rex from Star Tours, says Mando needs to remove his weapons before he can board. And it's funny because Mando
This
goes
is hilarious,
goes
right?
for a religious exemption
Yeah.
and says,
He does.
I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion. But the droid doubles down and says, you must
Yeah.
remove all weapons before boarding a commercial flight.
Yeah, so TSA is a pain in a galaxy far, far away too, guys. I just thought this was so funny.
Yeah.
So the guy, basically the TSA, agent says,
Very funny.
You still have to, we still need them. So there's this case, right? This container. And it's really funny. Mando just, keeps pulling stuff, keeps pulling weapons and putting them in this case. It's really funny.
Yeah, I wrote a note down that he was shaken down by TSA, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And he puts, last but not least, he does put the Dark Saber in there. And he says, I know everything that's in here. It's really...
It was funny. It's funny, too, because whenever he goes to, kind of quarrel with the droid, the droid says you could take it up with the supervisor and board tomorrow's flight if need be. So... very, very funny interaction.
That's not going to work. And typical of an airline, it's
but
really
Mando
funny.
gets on the ship and kind of looks out into space. There's a Rhodian child, of course. No flight is complete without somebody else's kid, saying hi to you or doing something.
Looking over the back of the chair. See, it's
really it's cute because the Rhodian child waves and the parent of the Rhodian child makes the kid sit.
Yeah, very typical, which does put kind of that exchange with the kid with the child puts Mando in mind of Grogu, and he pulls the little bag with his gift for his Beskar gift for Grogu in it, and kind of looks at it, and we know that he's really missing Grogu. They formed a very strong bond.
The Starlander, but I was glad to see that Mando's full flight experience is very similar to ours.
Right. TSA is a pain in any galaxy.
The Starliner lands on Tatooine at Mos Eisley. The droid that Mando dealt with previously greets Mando very cordially, presents his ticket for baggage claim, basically.
Right.
Gets his weapons back. Everything's still in there, thankfully, because my inclination was, oh man, somebody's going to take his stuff and he's not going to have anything.
Yeah, I was.
But everything's still there.
I was afraid I was like Pam. I was afraid the Dark Saber would go missing, or something. Something would be missing.
And then we see a BD droid, just like BD-1 from the Star Wars game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Cute little sucker.
And it gets picked up by a Womp Rat. And then we see blaster fire. And then we see the one who fires the blaster was Peli Motto.
He's Sebastian the Crab.
And that's the manager, from previous episodes of The Mandalorian, the manager of Hangar 3-5, the ship repair woman who worked on the Razor Crest previously for Mando from Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian. We also saw her later on in the series as well. We see a pit droid. It's funny, she calls one of the pit droids Treadwell, which I think is a great droid name. We see R5-D4, the droid that purposefully discharged itself in A New Hope. So R2-D2 would be purchased by Owen Lars, end up in Luke's hands, along with C-3PO.
Yeah.
And the droid refuses to go. That the Womp Rat has BD behind this engine block, and their droid refused to go back there.
Yeah.
And Peli says, "No, you can't say no. You can't say no. You're a droid."
Yeah, what is this? A democracy now? It's really a funny exchange. Because the droids are also all the pit droids. I think are really funny anyway. Pit droids are hilarious, and they're like scared to go in. They, whenever she's trying to run out of the working bay there, the mechanics area, they want nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
funny stuff.
So anyway, the Womp Rat is behind, has BD behind the engine block, and Peli decides to go after it. She gets attacked, and the pit droids are all cowering, and she's like falls down, and it looks like something out of a horror movie where she's being dragged, and she says it's chewing on me, and she reaches for her blaster, and it's out of arm's reach. But then we see the Womp Rat gets blasted.
Is it a Womp Rat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we see BD.
They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Yeah. Good Death Star reference. That BD's okay, thankfully. Peli gets up and says, "Look, hey, look, everyone, it's Mando."
Yeah,
Like
and all the droids, it's really funny because all the
greeting an
droids
old
go,
friend.
ooh. I thought that was really cute. The droids
Funny.
go, ooh, like, oh.
Yeah, we were
Mando.
laughing about that too, Pam, whenever we had talked about it outside of this stream. That Peli had, previously dated a Jawa before, and so talked about how furry they are. It was really funny.
There's a lot of funny stuff, a lot of good interaction. While they're in this scene.
So Mando says, "I got your message." She got him a replacement for the Razor Crest, and plays it cool. He's like, "Oh yeah, I sent you that." And she asked if he brought the cash. Mando tosses the bag to her. She tosses it to the droids to count. Not that I trust you. I just want to make sure you didn't overpay. Of course.
Peli is very animated. Peli,
she's great.
Peli Motto is really she's played by Amy Sedaris, and she's really great. I have really enjoyed her character. I'm glad they continue to bring her back, and I think they did it because of her portrayal of Peli Motto is so good.
She instructs the droids to fire up the grill before the Womp Rat gets gamey, which I thought was a really funny comment.
We know they put that big hunk of crate dragon that Mando brought back that looked good to you, William.
Oh yeah, I said I want them to serve me that at Docking Bay 7 at Galaxy.
There you go. They didn't put crate dragon on the. So apparently, Womp Rat, is fair game as well, pun intended.
So she asked about Grogu. Mando says he returned him to his own kind. She said, "Why? You could have made money opening a petting zoo for him."
Peli has a good sense of humor.
Yeah, she's got a ton of really funny lines.
And she lives in Mos Eisley, right? So you probably have to have a sense of humor to live in Mos Eisley.
Finally they make their way over to the ship. She pulls the cover away, and it's a Naboo N1 starfighter that we see, in the Phantom Menace. Mando asks where the Razor Crest is. This is a replacement for it, and Mando doesn't want it at first. And Peli tries to explain what it is, and Mando still wants his credits back. Peli says, "No skin off my dip swap." I tried to write down all the funny little lines. Peli said he arrived sooner than expected. Didn't get the chance to finish it. She holds up parts, accidentally touches a piece and it falls off. It's a bit of a mess in her starship garage. And she even says, "Oh look, a family of scurriers. Let's not disrupt the nest." Hey, welcome in.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah, so this is a typical garage, she's trying to sell him, on this Naboo starfighter, and he says it's a piece of junk.
Yeah.
And so she's like the used car salesman. She said, "What? You don't see
I wrote that down too.
Potential in this great, this great starfighter here." He's unimpressed. Mando remains unimpressed. It's an N1 starfighter commissioned for the Queen of Naboo herself. So, it's a classic. She continues to try to, it's pre-Republic. It's fast. She's saying Razor Crest. You don't want another Razor Crest. You want this. She's really trying to sell him on the starfighter, and Mando is unimpressed. But he finally, she finally convinces him to help her restore it.
Yeah. She keeps selling it to him. Modifications. It'll be faster than a Fathier. Pre-Empire, so it's off the grid, and it can jump into hyperspace without a docking ring, which I thought of when I saw the ship.
Yeah.
It's an excellent used car salesman pitch by Peli Motto, and she hands him a giant wrench to help on the repairs. There's a classic dad moment. We see Mando laying on the ground underneath the ship, and the BD droid's shining its flashlight into the starfighter. while Mando's working on it. And of course, you never, anybody who's ever experienced this themselves, you never hold the light in the right spot. It's always blocking what they're trying to do.
And yes, if you guys are wondering, William has tried to help his dad fix cars before.
So it's a common experience. If you tried to hold a flashlight in the right spot for somebody, you probably got it wrong, and they let you know about it. And so you don't actually learn about repairing the vehicle, but you do learn about getting yelled at. So there's that. Responding to stress. Let's see. Welcome in, Garrett.
Apparently so, Daryl. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
So let's see here. But Mando's working on it. Peli brings in a Turbonic Venturi power assimilator, the fastest ship. As she says, it'll be the fastest ship on the Outer Rim. Got it from Jawas. Which Jawas get stuff for Peli from her list. She said, I don't ask, they don't tell. They give me what I ask for. In exchange, I let them pick through my dumpster, which I think is really funny. And there's the quote that Pam had mentioned earlier. Dated a Jawa for a while. They're quite furry, very furry. And Peli's fluent in Jawa use. And Mando asked if they could get stuff for him. He's looking for bolt-on aftermarket speed mods. They're working on the ship. You can see him buffing off some of that yellow paint. There's a scurrier in the ship. Mando and Peli are working on welding together. The pit droids bring parts over, and one of them finally gets it right, and they're all jealous of the one that grabbed the right part. Peli says she's never been off-world, and so it's very interesting to me that she knows so much about starships and has never even been off-world. We see a Gonk droid charge the ship. Peli says, "Oh, Bantha diddle," at one point as part of the quote, which made me laugh.
Well, because he tells her, I'll happily take the Razor Crest. If you can find a Razor Crest, I'll give this right back to you. And she says, "Oh, Bantha diddle," which is really funny.
She's talking about how lucky Mando is. Basically, that she came up with this great find, and he tells her exactly what you said. You can have it back if you get me a Razor Crest. And Peli says these critters could find a scud in a krill pond.
Good sayings.
And we see a tie-in here. Peli talks about how the Pikes basically have made everything worse with the spice trade, bringing it to Tatooine. So there's a tie-in right there, back to the main story. We see a winged beast crow like a rooster with Tatooine in the background. We get our first look at the completed Naboo N1 starfighter. They left a little bit of yellow just for accent, but it's mainly chrome colored. That's what you would expect from Mando.
And they pull that thing, out of the garage for the first time, and it's your typical reveal. It's very impressive, and it's really cool because I love cars. I absolutely love cars, and anytime you're buying a new car, you're gonna walk around it and touch it and run your hand on the side and kick the tires, and that's totally the scene that we get from Mando here. He's admiring, and he's running his hand along the side to kind of, check it out. He's thinking about it, and you can tell that he's kind of impressed. It's a really neat scene. Yeah, he's checking out the new vehicle.
So he's walking around it. So one thing that's distinctive about it is that Peli removed the droid port. So usually you'd see an astromech sitting in there, just like we saw R2D2 and others in that spot. And she knows Mando hasn't been traditionally hasn't been the biggest fan of droids. And so she just outright removed that part.
Yeah, she's trying to customize it for Din Djarin.
And Mando thinks she's ready. She says she's as ready as she'll ever be. That little bit of trouble starting it. Needed to give it a little extra juice. Mando says, should we run a diagnostic first? And Peli's like, she's purring. Start her up. Send her up.
Typical mechanic talk here. At one point, when he walks out, of course, Peli was all in and sold obviously on this. She says there's not a gram of fat on her.
Yeah.
So Pele's very proud of, is very proud of it. It's cool.
And I think that another part of the conversation that's really cool is that Mando says she handles a little bumpy, and Pele tells him, "You're used to a gunship, but she's a starfighter. So fly her one."
Yeah, pretty cool.
We see
Cool
Mando
stuff.
fly into Beggar's Canyon on his test drive.
Yeah, we get a look at Beggar's Canyon, guys. And of course it was, that was Beggar's Canyon, Luke, with the line when they're talking about hitting the exhaust port to destroy the first Death Star. And somebody says that's impossible to hit. It's a couple of meters, and we hear Luke make the say, I have shot wop rats back in Beggar's Canyon at home, and they're not much bigger than 2 meters. So, somebody says, "Oh, it can't be done," and Luke says, "Yes, it can." So here's this great, look and fly into Beggar's Canyon that we haven't gotten since
we get a couple of Mando Dank barracks in this episode.
We do.
He talks about one of them's in response to how fast the ship is.
Yeah.
And Pele says smooth, and Mando says as a Gaunt's scomp jack.
Yeah.
Which I thought sounded funny. And he said tracks like a rail speeder. So Mando flies next to a Starliner, and in a really neat moment, he nods at the Rhodian child as he's flying his ship past the Starliner. And then we hear some alarms go off, and Mando's being pulled over on his joyride by the New Republic X-Wings. He's flying too fast next to a Starliner.
Yeah.
It's a commercial ship. He just says, "I've taken her up for a test flight." Says, the transmitter isn't hooked up yet. They want the title tabs and the ping, and they let him off. And so we get to see. So the first X-wing pilot we see, it's Lieutenant Reed, and then the person he's flying, the other X-wing, is flown by Carson Teva, which is Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who we've seen previously.
Yes.
And so it just the quotes are really funny because he says just the whole interaction says just when you think Mando's completely off the hook, he says, "One more thing before you go." Mando says, "Yes." "Your voice is mighty familiar. Did you used to fly a Racer Crest?" And Mando says, "I think you have the wrong guy, officer." And Carson Teva says that ship showed up on a transponder log back in Navarro in an incident involving Imperial remnants.
And
I'm just connecting some dots here. You mind answering a few questions?
Yeah.
And it's at that point Mando hits the button that Pele had mentioned earlier, and
hit the red one.
Yeah, he pushed the little red button as Agent K would say in Men in Black. And just takes off, and anyway,
so the other officer says, he didn't even power up his hyperdrive, and he's gone. And and the other officer says, that he didn't jump to hyperspace, kid. Those were sublight thrusters. So
which is just insane. It shows you how fast Mando's new hot rod is. Now, I hope he gives it a cool name. Naboo One Starfighter is just the class name, just like just like Fire Spray is the name of the class.
Yes.
But
for Slave One, which is
but for the Slave One, and so it's. I'm hoping we get a cool name for
Daryl,
it.
Right?
Yeah.
Not as fast as the Falcon, but really fast.
And so he's gone. The Carson they said there's no trace of him on our sensors. We reporting this? And Carson Teva says, "You want to go back to base and fill out reports all day?" And Lieutenant Reed says, "No, sir."
No. So Mando's off the hook.
Mando makes his way, lands back in Peli Monto's hangar bay, and she says, "How was it?" And Mando says, "Wizard," which it's not family friendly. but it had to have been a direct reference to Robot Chicken. So there's an episode of Robot Chicken that covers the it does like an inner dialogue for Darth Vader while it's a joke, like it's a joke. It's just kind of poking fun at it, but it's doing like an inner monologue of Darth Vader's thoughts while Emperor Palpatine is shocking Luke. And so he's like, why didn't anybody say wizard anymore? And so anyway, he says, he's trying to bring wizard back. Darth Vader is in the episode of Robot Chicken.
Gotcha.
And so again, not family friendly, but it had to have been a direct reference to that. But very, very funny. And thanks to my buddy Josh for having exposed me to some of those funny clips. Again, not family friendly, but very funny. Peli Motto, tells Mando, an old friend of yours dropped by looking for him, but it's not Cara Dune. Peli says they didn't tell her where you were, locked her out, engaged hangar security system, and of course, Fennec Shand is
oh yeah, she's there.
It's too good to be locked out by that. It's
Peli
Fennec.
thinks she's taking care of it, and obviously, Fennec,
yeah, she just sitting up there on top of some crates.
Because Mando says,
down.
what was her name? And Fennec, Fennec says Fennec Shand and hops down. It's really cool. Peli Motto, so I thought you engaged in security protocols.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't know Fennec.
Yeah. And so Mando, she asked if Mando's interested in if he's looking for work. Mando says he could be. She said the pay is good, tosses him a bag of credits. And, he asked what the bounty is. She says no bounty. She says we need muscle. And Mando connects the dots and says Boba Fett. And Mando offers to help, tosses the credits back to Fennec and says, tell him it's on the house. And into the episode says, Mando says, but first I've got to pay a visit to a little friend. So into the episode, very much, I really enjoyed it. It was practically, the main criticism of this episode and half of next episode is that people have said it's an episode of The Mandalorian, not an episode of Book of Boba Fett. It's been the main criticism I've heard. There you go. Okay, there you go. All right, good call, Russ.
Okay, Anakin's little friend and Phantom
Interesting.
Menace calls his pod racer
Okay.
wizard. That's the reference. Oh, hey, okay.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
it's. Go ahead, William.
Oh no. Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as the criticisms, I mean, there are always going to be criticisms. I didn't have a problem with this at all. I think, I'm kind of seeing these series as an overall bigger picture of a story, and they're feathering the story. Boba Fett obviously came back into our lives, in The Mandalorian, and now he needs help. So this is kind of the backstory and how Mando, we're filling in some gaps for Mando to know where he is, as he, is probably gonna, he's obviously gonna end up helping Boba Fett. So I don't have a problem with it. I think, this episode actually ranked really high on a lot of the ranking, platforms and what have you. This one most people gave this one a 9.4 stars that's on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the highest ranking on IMDb that any of the Boba Fett episodes have gotten. So 9.4 is pretty high. The next one actually gets higher, but chapter 6 even gets higher. But for obvious reasons. But if you've seen chapter 6. But I don't have a problem with this. I think this is great. I think the interaction is good. I love that all of these characters are, that their stories are intertwined. And so I love it. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah, very much enjoyed this. Cool to see the oh, bummer. Sebastian the Crab says that this was my least favorite episode, or maybe I was just tired that day. Yeah, you never
Oh,
know. And that's a good point. Sometimes you can watch something
it's
and
true.
be tired or had a rough day, and it ends up rubbing off on whatever you watch too. So,
Yeah, it does.
but
I would
but
suggest you watch it again, Jeanette. I think you'll really enjoy it if you watch it again. I loved all the interaction with the droids and Pelimato. All the funny stuff. Mando going through TSA.
yeah,
There were a lot of fun stuff.
yeah,
Plus, golly, the interaction with in the Mandalorian covert with the armor guys is gold.
yeah,
That's gold. And the fact that we know Paz Vizsla is there, which sets up, okay, we know that Bo Katan, at some point we're going to see Bo Katan again, I'm sure, challenge Mando for the Dark Saber. Well, now
yeah,
Paz Vizsla's in the mix.
yep,
So who knows? So there's who knows that what Paz Vizsla, excuse me, will not take another shot at it.
yeah.
So
All right, that
lots of
wraps up
storylines.
that episode. So I've only watched halfway into chapter 6 so far, and so I'm looking forward to wrapping that one up. Looking forward to talking about that next week, and then obviously getting on to chapter 7 as well. But yeah, still really enjoying this series. Lots of good Star Wars lore kind of fleshed out in this series. But yeah, it's really enjoyed this one. Yeah, it was very much a an episode of The Mandalorian. But anyway, it's
And we all love the Mandalorian so much. Why not?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it gives us what we need. It gives us, they kind of had
It
to,
fills in the blanks for us a little bit. Yeah,
yeah. Instead of him just walking, I prefer this instead of him just walking in a Jabba's palace,
yeah.
right? Instead of
So
him just showing up.
the only other way I could have thought that they could have done this is saving this episode in half of chapter 6 that I've watched. Only thing I think they could have done is just not give us all that. Cut to Mando flying in the new ship into the hangar bay, and then in the first episode of next season, letting this be the first episode. Now I don't know what happens through the rest of chapter 6 or 7 to know if there's anything there that is vital to the storyline for Book of Boba Fett. But that's the only other thing I could think of.
Jeanette thinks Pele is annoying.
Oh yeah, yeah.
See, I think
She's definitely
funny.
quirky. She's definitely quirky.
Funny and cute. She is quirky. Okay,
Yeah.
and Russ says he wishes that the Book of Boba Fett was more about what's going on currently instead of everything else going on. Well, see, Russ, I'm glad they gave us the backstory. They're filling in a lot of gaps, in between, say, the Sarlacc pit. We had to know how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, right? We had to, find that out. So I think, I have really enjoyed, the story. It's still about Boba Fett, and how he gets to where he is. And granted, it may be a long setup, but we are going to get another season of this.
That's
and
what
so,
I was assuming. I wasn't sure. I hadn't seen any announcements come out yet, but I'm assuming we're going to end up getting another season of this, and so I would expect to see that be full on Boba action.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yes, we did. With this argument to be continued on text, or I'll call you and we'll have this argument in person. But yeah, a Tennessee Bear, joining in the little old Tennessee Bear and the good old Kiev of G joining. Good to see you. Welcome in. We'll see what happens with it. Chapter 2, I think, or season 2, which is. Basically, guys, we're just getting a lot of good. I'm just thankful for the Star Wars content. Again, I know we need to probably raise an altar of some kind to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. But they're really giving us some good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
As Star Wars fans, we have to be happy with what we're seeing. The Mandalorian was pure gold. This has been excellent.
Yeah.
We've got
Yep.
more content coming. We got the announcement that Obi-Wan, which I am so pumped for. I love Sir Alec Guinness in the role. I love that we're going to get Hayden Christensen has signed on to play Anakin. That
Yep.
drops May the 25th, guys. Obi-Wan
Yep.
was announced yesterday. Drops May the 25th. And, I'm really excited about that one. There is a short trailer on Disney Plus, by the way. Go check that out.
It's just like a minute and a half long. It's got
but it's good.
It's mainly concept art, but yeah.
Yeah, good stuff though. Good stuff.
So
Really excited about that. Ewan McGregor stepping back into that role. Love it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Especially since Obi-Wan's, one of my favorites, if not my favorite, Star Wars character. Let's see. So join us next week, next Thursday, 12 o'clock p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Central, and 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern. So join us next week talking about chapter 6. Chapter 6 is entitled "From the Desert Comes a Stranger." So again, I haven't finished watching that episode yet, but grab some lunch. Join us to talk about chapter 6 next Thursday, 12 o'clock p.m., 1 o'clock Central. And also too, if you've enjoyed, watching this, we've done an episode we've filmed an episode or covered each of the chapters book of The Mandalorian. So seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely.
And so
check those
if
out.
you enjoyed this, make sure to check those out.
Playlist. There's a playlist on our channel for those.
We'll be a guest on Adventure by D's channel on Saturday, talking about Book of Boba Fett. So
looking forward to that. And check out Adventures by D. Dave and his son Dean are doing a really good job with breaking this down too. I love that that we have other I love to listen to other people, other people's ideas and comments on this. Also, Dolebook Dad, Jeff and his daughter are doing a series on Book of Boba Fett. So check those channels out as well. Dennis is asking, Don and Will, would you agree that this series stands on its own? I think it does, Dennis. I
think so too. Honestly, and I've only, I'm only halfway into chapter 6 and having not seen 7 or half of, the back half of 6 yet. Honestly, I think they could have pulled that out and set that as the first episode and a half of The Mandalorian, and then cut ahead. But that's without having seen, the remainder of 6 and 7. But I've enjoyed it. A lot of people haven't been, they have been a bit critical of this series, but I just enjoy the lore. I enjoy the journey to see where Boba's at now. And it's still
just go along for the ride, folks.
Yeah.
Don't overanalyze.
Yeah.
Just take it for what it is, because Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are giving us some good stuff here. Just enjoy the ride. That's entertainment.
Yeah. It could definitely be worse, no doubt about that. So I appreciate the high quality content, and that that people can still be critical with, as good as it is. I appreciate the high quality content that we're getting in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
So check out the on Disney Plus. There's an official trailer with Ewan McGregor. He talks about how it's nice to be back with Hayden Christensen, who has signed on to play Anakin. So check that out. Couldn't be more excited about that. The Mandalorian season 3 is in production. No official word on a release date yet, but possibly December 2022. So, but we did hear yesterday, Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus drops May the 25th. So, good news. No word on Ahsoka yet. I guess they're no word on. We know that.
I'd imagine that's probably going to come in the fall, if not maybe even push later.
Yeah, we'll hear something on that.
Yes.
Exactly, Dennis.
Let's see.
So true.
Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, nobody hates
So
Star Wars
true.
more than Star Wars fans. Being hypercritical. But anyway, check us out. We talk. Anybody that may be newer to the channel, we talk about Disney news and other various topics on Tuesday nights for our Hitchhiker chat. That's 9:00 p.m. Central, 10:00 Eastern on Tuesdays. Jillian has a show coming up. My wife Jillian has a show coming up on the 19th. It's not this Saturday, but next. For her episode of What's Brewing with the Bones. It's at 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 Eastern. She will give you her best tips for budgeting for your next Disney trip. So be on the lookout for that stream. Other just kind of miscellaneous announcements. The liveplace.com is a website. It's basically a TV guide listing for family-friendly live streams and content. Check out Dean's YouTube channel. Big shout out to Dean for maintaining the liveplace.com. Check out Dean's YouTube channel, Dreamers Empire. And check out our partner channel here in the chat, Monarch Moments. Lots of great channels represented in the chat, so make sure if you haven't already to check out each other's channels. Thanks so much to everybody for watching. Let's see, TubeBuddy. If you're a YouTube creator and you want to grow your channel, you should use TubeBuddy. It's a great tool. Tracks viewing trends, searchable keywords for titles and tags, and tracks channel data. That's really helpful to you in growing your channel. Basic version is free. The paid version for under 1,000 subs is less than if you have over that number. So if you're in the same boat as us, you have under 1,000 subs, it's a discounted price. But check it out. It gives us both a free month if you use our link below. Same thing for Stickermule. We get a $10 credit for a future order with Stickermule. So if you want good quality, low-cost promotional items, check out Stickermule. We've got buttons, we've got pins, we've got magnets. So check that out. Very high quality, low cost.
Yeah.
We get a $10 credit, and so do you if you use our link. So check it out. Again, thanks to everybody for being here. Big shout out to Aunt Susan, Aunt Joy, Jillian Colley, and other family members. Space Mountain Dave Cantrell, Pam's fam, Dennis Algazi, Surfer Girl 326, Adventures by D, Walk the World with Russ, Mouse Talk, Kevin Theme Park Adventures, Daryl, Sebastian the Crab, Mickey Sightings, Monarch Moments, and the Tennessee Bear. Again, I apologize if I missed you. I'm doing best to walk through my show notes and keep an eye on the chat too and to participate in the conversation. So if I missed you, make sure to let me know so I can thank you properly for being here. But hope everybody has a great day. Anything else you wanted to say, Mom?
Just
Shout out to our moderators for keeping the chat family friendly.
Thanks, guys. We always appreciate you guys. Check out our playlist for the other episodes of Boba Fett, and also our playlist for the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, because those are on the channel. I will be in Hot Springs next week, guys. So watch for some pop-up. I may schedule some live streams. I may do some pop-ups. We'll definitely get some vlogs up. So watch for those. And thanks, Team Replay. If you're on Team Replay, Joey's World, Lisa, Keith, and Joey, we appreciate you guys for being on Team Replay. Leave a comment below, and if you have any questions, or if you have some information to add, we love Star Wars information, guys. So if you know some good nuggets, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for being here. We love this. Yeah, we love this. This is good stuff. So,
all right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hope everybody has a great day. Has a great weekend as well. We'll see you next Thursday, 12:00 p.m. Central, 1:00 Eastern, to talk about Chapter 6. So looking forward to that. May the Force be with you. Till the Spire. Again, hope everybody's doing great and has a great day and a great weekend.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
All right. Remember, you want to say it, Mom?
At the Hitchhiking Bones, there's always room for one more. So hurry back. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Till the Spire, and may the Force be with you all.